Welcome to the Versions of Healing, the interview segment of the Healing Version podcast, a space created to uplift real stories from real people on their unique paths to healing. In each episode, we sit down with individuals from all walks of life, from survivors, overcomers, healers, and seekers, to talk about the experiences that shaped them and the steps they've taken towards wholeness. There's no single way to heal, and no story is too small. Whether the wounds come from trauma, grief, addiction, broken relationships, or self doubt, this segment is here to hold space for every voice and every version of healing. These conversations are raw, powerful, and rooted in truth. Because healing doesn't just happen in silence, it happens when we share, listen, and grow together. So come as you are, and let's explore the many versions of healing. Hey y'all, what's up? And welcome back to another episode of the Healing Version podcast. The interview segment is Versions of Healing, and we have a special guest here today. And we have Mr. John Diggs. I'm going to go ahead and introduce him, and we're going to get into this conversation. All right, so today's guest, Mr. John Diggs, is someone who lived many lives, from an athlete to entrepreneur, father, and now a transformational speaker and leader in the personal development. John Diggs grew up in Los Angeles, California, and earned a football scholarship that led into a professional career in the NFL and CFL. But after retiring in 1995, he pivoted to business, building a Southern California's top mortgage brokerage. Then came the crash of 2008, one that changed everything. John lost it all: his business, his home, and marriage. In the aftermath, while sleeping on his mother's couch, he took his decades of books, tapes, and journals and began his way back to himself. That's when Mappineering was born, his personal style of mind of mapping, along with the I Am system, a framework for self-discovery and life transformation. Now based in Gilbert, Arizona, John is not only a father of two teenage daughters, but also a passionate teacher, helping others tap into creativity and clarity and purpose through tools that work. If you ever felt like you were hitting rock bottom and you needed to rebuild and build yourself up and get back to you, this episode's for you. Welcome to the show, John. How are you today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm well, Deborah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, excited to share
Yes.
my story and message.
Yes,
Thank you
I'm
again for
excited
having
to
me. I appreciate it.
hear your story because I know it's a
Yeah,
lot of people out there that feel defeated, and I know this is going to be the conversation that's needed to help the audience and those listening. Like, I can do this. I
yeah.
feel it. All right, so John, your story is one of the major highs and painful lows. Can you
Mm.
take us back to what life was like after your NFL career, and into your success of your mortgage brokerage company?
Yeah. Like you said, great introduction. I couldn't have said it better myself. Um, After playing football, I went on and retired and parlayed into something that I kind of imagined that I was going to get into as far as the real estate industry. Got into the mortgage business in Los Angeles and paid my dues for a few years, and eventually opened my own company and built it to, a very powerful mortgage brokerages in all of Southern California, and living this millionaire like lifestyle. Made more money as a businessman than I ever did playing professional football, and life was amazing. I had everything. I was 30 something years old and living this
Mm,
really
living that
affluent.
life.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, from the big houses and the cars and boats and everything, it was really crazy. And but then when the mortgage meltdown hit in 2007, I mean, that it essentially just took everything away from me. I mean, making great money to, barely making any money in less than
Mhm.
like what, 2 months. It was
Wow.
just a dramatic, fast change and shift. And yeah, it was just a really, really rough period in my life. Like as you mentioned, I did lose, my business, my life, my wife, my kids. I lost, I mean, everything,
That's rock bottom, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it was super, super, super bad. From being such, having a successful life to many extent to from professional football to now doing this big entrepreneurial business thing to literally being homeless. Was really a dramatic shift in my life and everything. And luckily, my mom let me come sleep on the couch. I actually bought her, so that was kind of cool. And but when I went back to my mom's house, Deborah, it was well. Let me just backtrack on. It was April 27th, 2009. This was probably the lowest point in my whole life. We actually got evicted from an apartment building and I had to go back and get the remaining items out of that place before the sheriff came the next morning. And just walking into my little girl's empty bedroom, it was just too much for me to take. It felt like Mike Tyson just socked me in my chest and
Mm.
buckled me on the ground, and I collapsed on the floor and cried out loud like a baby that whole night. It was a really, really
Wow.
tough night. And but the amazing thing happened is that the next morning I really felt like a new man. It was like, it's like the old me died that night. My spirit was cleansed and scrubbed, if you will, like because I was really woke up just like, hey, it can't get no damn worse than this. So now it's
Crying
just
is
on
good
and
for the
upward.
soul, whether
Yeah, it
y'all
was
know it or
on and
not.
upward.
Like
Yeah.
crying, like it like releases toxins or something. So
Yeah, so when I went to my mom's house, despite all of the craziness in my life, I had this feeling of new possibility that I could turn thing around. So when I went to my mother's house, I took with me three things. It was just my bike, some gym clothes, and this big box that was just full of motivational tapes and CDs that I've collected over the years. Now, I've
mm,
always kind of been into personal development, and I knew I had to go back and revisit all of those books, and all of the contents of that box to kind of reset myself and rebuild my life, essentially. So when I went into that box, there was this one book that resonated with me. I don't remember buying it, but for whatever
mm,
reason, it just resonated with me. And it was called the Mind Map book by Tony Buzan. And I read it and decided to mind map all of the contents that was in that big ass box. So I spent like 3.5, 4 months of all day, every day, just mind mapping Think and Grow Rich, How to Influence and Influence People, The Power of Now, Unlimited Power. I mean, all of the top books that, most people ever heard of was in that box. And I started mind mapping them, and that was my first introduction to the power of mind mapping because it did a couple things for me. This first 3-4 months of doing this, I started to really understand um, what these authors were talking about, on a deeper level. It wasn't I was just reading books now, and I didn't know then, but now I know that mind mapping stimulates what is called active learning, meaning most of us when we read, it's more of a passive thing. We're sitting back and we may underline some stuff or highlight some stuff or write in the margins or something to that effect. But
mm-hmm.
when you mind map a book, you're actually reading sentences, paragraphs, and chapters looking for key words you can take out of it to add to your mind map. So I was more engaged with the material, and I
Mm.
was actually looking, I was connected to it than I ever been before. And it stimulated something else that I now know is called meaningful learning. So as I was engaged with the material, trying to grab keywords and short phrases to put on my mind map, when you do that, you actually take that new information and you combine it or connect it to your old information that you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking it like what Tony Robbins would say or something. I would look at it and be like, all right, that's a new concept. But as I was putting it on my mind map, a mind map caused me to think, all right, now how does this relate to what I already know? Or how do I apply it to my life? And
Mm-hmm.
technically that's called meaningful learning. So I was learning stuff from these people that I never learned before. It was really resonating with me, these messages. And by the way, I did a TEDx talk on this, so those
Okay.
you and your listeners who want to know that this entire story, it's a TEDx, it's on YouTube, and I'm just
Okay.
kind of giving a high level of it. But, I had all of these poster boards all over my mom's house of all of these
Mm-hmm.
books I were mind mapping. And I started to see connections between all of what they were talking about. And I walked
Mm-hmm.
away with two big distinctions. The first was that all of them were basically talking about that life is meant to be loved. You gotta love this experience of life. They all had their different perspectives and systems and philosophies and approaches on how to do it. That's the difference of all their books. But
Mm-hmm.
generally, that's all they were talking about. It's like, hey, if you do this, you will love and live your best life. If you do this, you'll live an incredible life. You do this, you'll be happy. I mean, all of them was basically just talking about loving life. So I really walked away like, wow, that is truly, that's the truth. The,
Mm-hmm.
the purpose of life is really just simply just to love it, and just love every experience, every moment that you have of it. But then the second one was you have to get clear on who you are and what loving life means to you. Because loving life means to me something different than it does to you and everybody else.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, so you got to get clear on what it really means to you. So for the next 3-4 months at my mom's house, I started mapping out what is now known as my I am mind map, which is just essentially like, who am I at my core? What are my core values? What are my core beliefs? How do I want to experience my life? And as I went through that process, it transformed me. It transformed me literally. I started to self actualize, is what it's called, really started to really understand who I was. And I started vibrating differently and just attracting different things in my life and situations. So much so that, again, within 8 months of moving into my mom's house, I landed a well-paying six-figure job that I went literally from rags to riches, like in a fast time. And I know for a
Mm.
fact, Deborah, without doubt, that it was because of what mind mapping gave me. Mind
So
mapping gave me clarity.
can you kind of give us like a in layman's term what mind mapping is for
Yes,
somebody who, because
absolutely.
I kind of get it, but like I want to hear like a little
Yeah,
definition.
yeah. I'll tell you exactly what it is. A mind map technically is a visual information management tool. In other words, it's a way to actually see what you're thinking, regardless of whatever it is you're thinking. If you're trying to solve a problem, make a decision, go on a trip, goal set, deal with stuff in your past, whatever you got going on in your mind, a mind map is a way to take it out of your mind and put it in a way that you can actually see it, structure it, organize it, and gain greater perspective of it. So, what that would
Mm,
actually look like if you just took a piece of paper and put a circle in the middle, that is going to be your main topic of your mind map that you want to mind map, whatever that
mm,
could be. Again, a problem, decision, whatever you got going on. How to
right.
stop dogs from barking, whatever that means, whatever it is, you could put it in the center of your
Mm-hmm.
mind map. Then once you put
Yeah.
it there, now you just brainstorm all of your thoughts that come to your mind as it relates to that main topic. So you can just put it all out on your map. Then once you put all of that stuff all out on your map, now you can start individually brainstorming each one of those things you put on your map. And
Mm-hmm.
now if you keep going through this exercise, once you complete the exercise, now you can step back and look at your mind map and you'll gain so much greater perspective about whatever it is you was thinking about. versus it swirling in your mind
Yeah.
uncontrollably. You got thoughts doing this, that, and the other,
So kind of like a
problems, stress.
vision board,
Yeah, it's very much like a vision board, but
but
it's
it's more like
different because
affirmation.
yeah,
It's like,
well, when people make a vision board, I've done that a lot because you can make all these clips of magazine articles and all that
mm-hmm,
stuff of things you want, but once you're done with it, it's kind of a static thing. You just finished
right.
and you just look at it. You can do that same thing with a mind map, but you could take it a step further because everything you put on your vision map, if you will, now you can put next to each one of those things action items, things you need to do to actually achieve it.
Mm,
People you may need to contact to help you move forward in that area. So it becomes more of a dynamic vision board, if you will, because
yeah.
now if you start really mapping out the action items, now it essentially becomes a roadmap, on how to actually achieve what you put on your vision board or your vision map. Because instead of just saying, hey, I want, these are ideal of what I would like,
Yeah.
now you can keep expanding it out to really get clear on what you need to do, or more importantly, who you need to be or become to achieve all of that you just put on your vision or kind of deal.
Right.
So it's a little, take it 10x is a normal vision board, if you will.
And you have it in your face, so you can't help but like look at it and read it. And yeah, I like that.
Right. And
A
I've been
mind
using
map.
that since this whole
So you
mind
still
map
use
stuff.
it? You still use
Absolutely.
them?
Yeah. Every day, every single day, ever since 2010, I've used my mind map to build, what was regarded until maybe a few years ago as the top mortgage software development company. That was the job I actually got out of my mother's place when I was there, is to
Mm-hmm.
help design software for mortgage banks. So, I've been utilizing it and help organize my thoughts, help plan trips, help build this amazing life that I had, experience for about 10 years after 2010. Then when COVID hit us in 2020 and we were quarantined, that's when I just finally said, you know what, it's time for me to start sharing this powerful tool with others. Let me start writing books.
Mm-hmm.
Let me start really doing some stuff to promote it. And
It was a good
since
time to
COVID,
share
I've written,
stuff online. It's a good
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
since COVID, I wrote 10 books and become an international best-selling author, and all
Oh,
around this tool called mind mapping, where I'm very passionate about helping people utilize this tool, because it's still relatively unknown, and most people that ever heard of a mind map are utilizing, like most of your Fortune 500 companies use mind maps. A lot of Ivy League schools, Harvard, Yale, and them use mind maps. But most of them only use it for project management, note taking, brainstorming kind of stuff, like I was just telling you about, which is great.
mm-hmm.
But I found, since being in this mind mapping community around the world, that I'm the only one that's really talking about it, teaching it, promoting it as a personal development tool.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is coin my own phrase, or titled my style as called Mappineering.
Okay.
Mappineering,
That was actually going to
engineering.
be my next question. Like,
Yeah,
so is it the same or is Mappineering something different? So it's just basically
yeah.
your version of mind
Right, of
mapping.
how to use a mind
Okay.
map. Yeah, like I said, most people,
Okay.
if that heard of it, they're going to use it for brainstorming, note taking, or project planning or something. Where my style is strictly for like decision making, problem solving, self actualizing, trip
Mm-hmm.
planning, how you can use it more in a daily, practical, personal use. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to kind of distinguish my style from the traditional style, and that's where Mappineering comes from.
So can you give
And
me like an example, like a specific example of something that, like one specific thing, maybe what's in the middle
mhm,
and one
mhm,
specific
yeah.
branch of that?
Absolutely. Yes. A classic and probably one of the most powerful mappineering exercises that I teach, my clients and students, is called the 5 W's and H mind map. And what we would do is, for instance, if it's a problem, we can put the problem in the center. Then
Mm-hmm.
around the problem, when you put who, what, where, when, why, and how. Now that you have that basis of your mind map, now you start to brainstorm all of the who questions that are associated to that problem. Who's involved with this problem? Who should be involved with this problem? Who can I contact to help me with this problem? And you're just putting all of these who questions around those who answers around that who section. Then you move to what? What actually is happening? What needs to happen? Then you go to where and ask yourself a bunch of great where questions as it relates
Mhm.
to that problem. You go to when is this problem happening? Then you go to why, you ask
Mhm.
you a bunch of why questions about that problem. Then you go to how, a bunch of how questions. How can I resolve it? How soon should I do it? Once you really go through this exercise of who, what, where, when, and why that's associated to that problem, then you step back and now look at your mind map. Deborah, yes, always, yes. I've been doing this a long time. Yes, the solution to your problem reveals itself. It illuminates
Mhm.
because now it's not a problem that's swirling in your head out of control with all of these things that you get confused and stressed and overwhelmed with this
Mhm.
problem because you can't sort it out or really understand it well. So a mind map, this 5 W's and H Mappineering exercise, would allow you to see all of the key components in
Mhm.
particular of the problem that you would never have seen if it was just stuck in your head. So
Right.
now that you kind of can see it, and it's amazing because I've done this so many times with clients that they'll come with me and they're just like stressed. They're intense. I got a crazy problem I'm dealing with. And
Mhm.
more than likely, it's because of all of this stuff that's just swirling in their mind that they can't sort out or organize. So I'll take them to this problem and you can literally see their energy shift because it's no
Mhm.
longer a personal problem. They're now looking at it like a third person perspective problem. It's like it's out there now. It's not stuck in here when it was driving me crazy and overwhelmed and
Wow.
overloaded. Now
That's
it's out here.
good.
And yeah, now I can kind of see this
Mhm.
problem and see all of the particulars of this problem. And like I said, when you really do it right, you know exactly what your next step should be to solve that problem because now you can see all of it that you couldn't see before. And
Mhm.
that's just one example. And that 5 W's and H, like I said, I just gave you an example of a problem, but you can put a decision in the middle of it. You got to make a
Yeah.
serious decision about your life or something you're contemplating
Yeah.
and trying to get perspective on what's the best decision forward. Do that same thing. Put the decision in the middle: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Brainstorm all of that stuff. And next thing you know, again, you'll be able to make a decision with comfort and confidence that I've looked at all of the particular options from every angle I possibly could as it relates to this decision. So now I
Mhm.
know that I'm making an informed decision versus just, making an emotional decision without seeing all of the different angles of the decision. So
Yeah.
those are just a couple of exercises that I really teach people on how to really use when dealing with problems, decisions. You can put goal setting in the middle and do the whole thing. It just gives you clarity on what's going on in here. And if I'm sure most of
Yes,
us
definitely.
personally and people that we deal with when we're not doing well, um, mental health issues or stressing or just driving yourself
Mhm.
crazy, it's not because we don't have options. It's really because we don't have clarity. We don't really know what's
Yeah,
really
don't know
going
what to
on,
do. Don't know what
So
next
that's
steps
where the mind
are.
map can help.
Yes. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, oh man, like now I want to do this mind map because
Hmm.
I'm a real visual person. Like we have all these
Hmm.
electronics and like I have stuff on my iPad and my phone, but like my to-do list will forever be on paper. Like I
Right.
have to physically see it and be able to check stuff off and write new things. I don't know. It's just it I don't know if it's like a comfort or it just I don't know, it makes me feel good,
It's a
especially if I
style.
mark stuff off. So
A mind map would be perfect for you. Another study has shown that, like I was saying, they use mind maps in schools now, and I'm speaking at a bunch of universities for the remainder of this year to show these students that our minds don't work well with list. We've always been taught to take notes of all these bullet point lists. But what
Mhm.
they're finding is that by way of how the mind map kind of expands and connects to everything, it's very similar to how our mind works. And so they're finding that students are getting greater test scores when they use note taking as a mind map, use mind
Mhm.
mapping for book reports, because it's easier to close your eyes and remember where you place something on a map versus where you put it on a bullet point list.
That is
So
facts. Well, I'm in
yeah,
college now.
yeah,
So that's something that I would definitely like to incorporate, like, because yeah.
yeah.
So
It's
I
powerful. Like
would
for your book,
definitely.
for your book
Mhm.
projects or book reports or anything like that, just put the title of your book in the center, and
Mhm.
each one could be the chapters of the book that surrounds it, right? And now you're
Mhm.
just looking for keywords about each one of those chapters of your book and some of the things that it's going to resonate with you. If you build that map out, I guarantee you will be able to remember more of that information than you would if you been doing that traditional linear bullet point stuff that we always used to do. Try to map your courses, your notes instead,
Mhm.
and I guarantee you'll see a greater response, and your recall of the information will be much stronger than you've ever seen before, just by way how mind maps work, like our brains more so.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Anything that'll help me. I'm a mom of five. I'm a
Hmm.
hard worker. I'm
Yeah,
ready to do this full time. I'm speaking it
yeah,
into existence. I'm gonna full
nice,
time
nice.
content creating, interviewing, podcasting. But definitely anything that can help me,
Yeah,
like, relieve some, take it from here and put it out
I
there.
would
I'm
encourage you.
all for it.
I would invite you to do this. I did this with my kids. It's going to sound a little outside the box, but trust me, if you do it, it's going to give you some power. Put yourself in the middle of the mind map, just your name. Then around your name, put the names of all of your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now go through each one of your kids on your map and put personality traits, strengths, weaknesses of your kids, um, uniqueness of your kids. Just put it around each one of their names around your mind map. Then doing that, you will get a greater perspective of your children. You'll get
Mm-hmm.
clarity on your children. Then you can even take it a step further to really understand how you may need to adjust your communication to each one of your children. Because
Yes.
now you kind of see them a little different. Of
Mm-hmm.
all right, this he's strong here, but she's weak here, and this. So I need to. This is what she likes. This is her favorite color. This is her favorite this, and this. So, I can see this. I can understand what I need to do to coach her or him to be better in certain areas, because I
Mm-hmm.
can truly see the distinction between each one of my kids and the similarities. It's just a
Yes.
great exercise to do with your kids. Just I've helped
I like
mothers
that.
and
I like
parents do
that.
that. And again, it's something about seeing what you believe you know. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
us know certain things, but when you
Mm-hmm.
actually take it out of what you feel you know and put it in a map form, you will start to see more depth of what you know and see some blind spots in what you think you know. You do this and be like, yeah, I know my kids, but you go through this mind map process and you be like, damn, I didn't really realize that my son was like that, but he is, or he was just him
Yeah.
at first, but
Yeah.
now I can really see what makes him tick. Now I can really
Mm-hmm.
see, what works for him and not, and you can really build this map of your family so you can become that ultimate leader that they need, in times of need. So that's something I would encourage you to just have fun with. Yeah, I think you'll get a kick on
Okay.
that.
I'm already like imagining it. So yeah.
I
So
see it. I see it in your eyes.
so I want to talk about the I am system.
Yes.
and like what that specifically is, how it works, what it looks like.
Yes. Yes. Yes, for sure. Now, out of all of the thousands and thousands of possible mind maps you can create, I mean, literally, you can make a mind map for anything. I've tried it and I've done it. And trust me, there's thousands of mind map possibilities you can make. There's none more important than the I am mind map. There's none more important than the I am mind map. And the reason that I say that is because this mind map is designed to really help you get clear on who you truly are to your core. You know, not your title, not your role, not your job, not your past, not what your parents told you. You know, most of us have never really consciously decided who we are. You know, and if you ask people, you know, who are you? It's a struggle for a lot of people, you know, to really just get to the core of who this is, who I am. This is what I stand for. This is my
Mm-hmm.
purpose in life. This is where I'm heading with my life. Most people never do the work to get to the depth of that certainty about who they truly are. And a mind map is perfect for that, to get clear on who you are. And like I said, the second half of that time at my mother's house, when I was really building this out, you know, I wasn't building it out to write a book or TEDx talk or sell anything. I was just something God told me to do to get clear on who I was. But as I
Mm-hmm.
started to ask myself, I just put I am in the center. And I said, well, all right, John, who are you? What's most important to your life? And I really had these honest, forthright conversations with myself, you know, just like, who are you? Now that anything is possible, you have nothing. Who do you want to be? Then I started asking myself this question, and I landed on health was my first thing. I
Mm-hmm.
am healthy. Nothing is more important than my health. So I put that on my I am mind map. Then I started asking myself again, like, you know, what else is most important? Now I put wealth. And again, this was after hours and hours and thinking and contemplating this. I'm just speeding through it now, but it just didn't come to me like that. It was really
Mm-hmm.
asking myself these really hardcore questions. But I put wealth. Then ultimately I landed with success. Then I landed with happiness. So the basics of a I am mind map has these four anchors or topics: health, wealth, success, and happiness. Then what mind map does is that now that you got to that level, it just encourages you to take it even deeper. So I asked myself, I was like, no, what the hell does health mean? That's just so broad. You know, what does
Mm-hmm.
really health mean to me? Then I landed on spiritual health, physical health, and mental health. I put those on my map. Then I went down to wealth. And I was like, well, wealth, you know, is it really just about money? Then again, after thinking about it, I realized that wealth was really about an abundance. Wealth is an
Mm-hmm.
abundance of stuff. So I said, you know, well, what do I want an abundance for? What do I want an abundance in my life for me to really, truly love and live my best life? And after thinking about it, I landed on I wanted a wealth of positive emotions. I wanted a wealth of specialized knowledge, skills, and I wanted a wealth of freedom, which did include financial freedom in there. So if I can get that, I know I'll be happy and healthy and loving my life. Then I moved over to success. What I mean, success is too general. Let me drill it down. What does success mean to me? I
Mm-hmm.
landed on I wanted to have successful relationships, successful results in my life, and I want to have successful rewards in my life. I was like, cool. Then I moved over to happiness. What does that mean? You know, what needs to happen for me to truly be happy? And again, hours, weeks of thinking about this, I landed on for me to be happy, I need to be blessed for my past, meaning that whatever happened in my past, good and bad, I need to look back at it and feel blessed. I don't need to be guiltful, you know, regret. I need to be blessed for those experiences. I survived the tough ones. I've learned, I've grown. So I need to feel blessed for those moments. At the same time, I need to be grateful for my future, meaning everything that's coming to me. I need to be grateful for what God is bringing into my life, you know, not fearful. I need to be grateful that it's going to happen. If I can be blessed for my past, grateful for my future, and feel really fulfilled right here, right now, in the present moment, I'll be happy. that's the basics of the I am mind map process. And once I got clear with all of that, Deborah, like I mentioned before, I started keep expanding out my list, or where next to spiritual health, physical health, mental health, I started to say, all right, now what do I need to do to improve these areas? What do I need to think? Do I need to start praying more, meditate more, go to church? What do I need to do to get stronger in each one of these areas that I just put on my map? And as I started keep going through this process, that's where I started to, I shifted, my energy changed, so all day, every day, I'm like, I am healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm successful, I'm happy, I'm healthy, wealthy, I'm successful and happy. And I started just vibrating differently, and it transformed my life. Like I said, in less than 8 months, I went from this jaded, broken man to this successful 6-figure guy. And I know it was because, I knew who I was. This is who I am. And I've been utilizing it ever since. I look at it every day. I teach people now how to actually do what I just went through, but then I teach them how to take it steps further of what I did. And that's to prioritize and everything that you put on your I am mind map. Then the last step, which I call the enlightenment level, which is the last of the 3 levels of the I am levels that I lead people through, is we would take your I am mind map and convert it into an actual script where you record yourself now saying, I am everything that you just put on your mind map. And the instructions is for you to listen to yourself, tell yourself who you are every morning and every night, and where you're actually visualizing yourself being that which you determine on your I am mind map. It's transformative.
Love that.
It's totally
That's dope.
transformative. That I've seen so many amazing things. And quick story I share real fast about my 16-year-old daughter. I had her build her I am mind map, and all my kids, they got their I am mind maps. But this last year, my 16-year-old, she's talking about this boy that she was liking named Andrew. I'm picking her up from school, and she keeps ranting and raving about this boy named Andrew. And naturally, I'm like, la, 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 la. I don't hear none of that, kind of deal. But I noticed some time went by, and she stopped talking about this boy, So I just asked her, I said, hey, babe, what happened to Andrew? What's that about? Oh, Dad, I broke it off with him. It's like, really? I said, what happened? Dad, he did not fit on my I am mind map. And I was like,
that's right.
I was silently like, yes. See, but that's just an example of many that I can share with you.
That's powerful.
Of what this I am mind map has done for people. I've worked with people that developed clarity, so much clarity about who they are, that they comfortably and confidently adjusted relationships, changed jobs, pursued new careers that they wanted to, that they never thought they could, but they had so much certainty and congruity on who they are now, that the fear or whatever that was stopping them from making adjustments out of toxic relationships or bad jobs or all of that stuff we deal with and a lot of people just tolerate. Once you get clear on who you are, you're not an ass anymore. You're just the person that, hey, this is who I am, and I got boundaries.
Yes.
I got boundaries, and I'm not dealing with this no more. This is where I'm going. This is what my life is about. Yes. And it's no longer going to vibe like this no more. It's not that I hate you or, I resent you in any way. I'm just clear on who I am, and I got to make the adjustment on what's best for me, and that's what I see what happens. And people, I get emails and stuff every day. I just got one this morning when this guy was just telling me that, wow, man, it's been 30 days since I've been working on this process, and I've never felt like I know myself like I do now. It's like, wow, that it heartwarming. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, really? Like, no, yeah, man. I'm so clear on who I am right now. I feel good. I wake up like, yes, I know who I am and what I'm doing. I'm living with intention. I'm living with on purpose now, like I never had before. And that's what the I am mind map is doing and helping people do. And I'm just passionate about it. Despite everything that the professional football was cool because that's something my first love. The mortgage
Mhm.
stuff was cool because, it gave me an incredible, lifestyle at the time. And the software business is great because, again, it just gives me all of the stuff that I like to live. But there's nothing in my life that's been more fulfilling than helping people with this mind map and specifically this I am process, because you can't buy that feeling. It's like this call that I got.
Oh, yes,
It's
yes,
tough. It's like, wow,
yes,
really?
yes.
Like, yeah, thank you. You changed my life. And I'm like, that you can't buy. And that,
Yeah,
and
you
no, and
can't.
that's what
Definitely,
I'm
definitely.
thirsty
So that
for
kind
that.
of brings me to my last thing. So if there's
Hmm.
somebody out there and they're listening, um,
Hmm.
or if somebody wants to share this episode with someone they know that needs to listen to it, and they're feeling defeated and
Hmm.
maybe they don't have the strength or the know-how to even start to even just write down that one thing in the middle, like what is something that you would say to somebody to kind of give them a push?
Yeah. Well, first, hopefully my story will give them some hope, because I was able to
Very
transform
powerful
my
story, by the
life.
way.
What's
It's
that?
I said very powerful story, by the way. That's
Oh,
a
thank you, thank you. I just
hey,
hope people realize that, despite how bad your circumstances may appear to be, it can change and get better. It will change and get better. Well, it's going to change for sure at some point. Nothing's really that permanent, but you can control the change to get your life better. And I would suggest that you start with, just getting clear on who you are. Again, you can use a piece of paper and go through this process, like I just said, or, if you really are motivated for to really cause the change, you can reach out to me and my team. My website, I have an I am assessment that just walks people through like 15 questions just to get their mind right to start developing their I am mind map. But I would say that get clear on who you are first. All my clients that I work with, they come to me with various issues. I mean, I work with high school students all the way up to seniors in their golden years, to help them reset themselves in a lot of ways. But we always will start with an I am mind map, because I'm like, look, I can help you achieve that goal, but we need to first make sure that that goal is truly in alignment with who you want to be. There's been so many of us
mhm,
that work towards a goal and get to the end of the goal and like, I'm not fulfilled as I thought I was going to be, because that goal was
mhm.
really not in alignment with who you are. You should have been working towards another goal that will give you that passion and fulfillment. So I
Yes.
always tell people to start with your I am mind map, get clear on who you are first. Then all of your so-called problems and circumstances and situations, you'll be able to see in a different light, in a different way. And, you will approach them differently because you are becoming someone different than who you are.
Yes.
You'll handle people different and respond differently. So I would start there, and you can go to johndiggs.com, and
Yes.
then you see the I am icon there. You can start through the process. Again, I got courses, I got coaching, I got all of that stuff to really help people go from, I don't want to say lost, but just uncertain maybe about who they
Mhm.
are in their life now and
Yes.
what they want out of their life, to really getting clarity on who you are and what you want to do with your life, and what you need to specifically do daily to start moving in that direction. So I'm here to help anybody. I mean, this is my passion project. I'm absolutely 100% certain that this is why God put me on earth, is to
Yes,
help people with this
yes.
message.
I love it. I love it. There's nothing more rewarding than like finding what you're passionate about. And that's what I tell
Hmm.
my kids all the time. I'm like, you can go to school and do all these things or that that's gonna make you money. But if you don't
Hmm.
love it, if you're not passionate about it, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna have all this
Miserable.
money and be miserable. Like who wants
Mis-
that? Like I'd rather have half of that money and be
and be happy.
passionate and
Yeah.
love what I'm doing and
Hmm.
man, it's just I can talk all day about that. I'm for that. Like whoever's
Yeah.
listening to this, if you're doing something, you working at a job, you're doing whatever, and you're not passionate about it, like just
Mm-mm.
don't waste your
I tell
time.
I tell kids all the time, don't get good at something you don't like. You know,
That
you know?
part. That part. Don't yes.
Yeah, don't
Because
get good at
I
something you don't
was
like.
going I was in school to I was in nursing school. I actually got into nursing school second semester, ended up getting pregnant with twins.
Mm.
And at that point, like once I had to stop going to school because I had to be on bed rest. I
Right.
decided that I'm like, you know what? I really didn't like the clinical part of nursing. I liked
Mm.
the paperwork and the mind and talking to people and like just
Hmm.
like I love helping people, but I like the other part of it, the mental part
Yeah.
of it. And yeah, so I'm like, I like the nursing part, but I like to nurse my family. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
deal with them. But when it comes to like the mental health and like talking to
Hmm.
people and just helping
Hmm.
people and everybody want to come to me with they like for advice,
Big
and I'm like,
problems.
yes, like yeah, I'm gonna get this degree and then I can get a sliding fee for it. That's the goal.
There it is. There it is. I
That's
love
it,
it.
yeah. All right, Jess. So, can you share with the audience? Like, I know you said your website. Can you give your website again and any socials
Oh
where we
yeah,
can
yeah.
connect with you?
John Diggs, that's Diggs.com. I'm on everything. I mean, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook,
Okay.
YouTube. And I'm active on all of them where I'm posting a lot of content about various ways people can, use a mind map, Mappineering exercise pretty much daily. I got stuff that's posting on things just to let people know, hey, don't forget that if you're dealing with this kind of circumstance, here's this easy tool that'll help you get clarity. So I encourage everybody to, that's interested to follow me. And if like I said, if you're really excited, just john@johndiggs.com is my direct email. Just mention where you come from. And again, I'll do everything I possibly can to point you in the right direction so you can truly start loving and living your best life. That's what life is
Awesome.
about, right? Just
Awesome.
loving it.
Well, John, can we dig it?
Yeah, I can dig
Yeah.
it, baby.
All right. Thank y'all so much for being here, John. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the conversation. It was
Thank
dope, just
you.
like I knew it would be. Thank y'all for listening. And until next time, peace.